Hey guys, this is going to be a quick video about what type of silver I believe is the best to buy. And before I start this, let me just throw a couple disclaimers out there. There are probably people who have been stacking longer than me and have more knowledge on this subject, so this is just my opinion, so take it for what it's worth. There's lots of different ways that work for different people, so this is just my thoughts on the process and which forms of silver I think are best. The second thing I would say is that I think, as with any investment, if you want to look at metals as an investment, diversity is key, and so I think having some variety in your stack is a good thing. I wouldn't recommend just stacking any one thing, but in case there's people out there who just want to stack one thing and just have a really simple system, here's kind of my thoughts on some of the main topics of silver bullion. So anyway, the first category I want to look at is numismatics and or semi-numismatics. And with any type of silver, there's going to be pros and cons. Some of the pros, I think, for numismatics and semi-numismatics is you can make a lot of money on them. If you know what you're doing and you're willing to flip them and sell them on eBay and sell them privately, you can make a lot of money. It's also fun collecting things that are rare and that are harder to find. There's definitely a thrill there when you complete a collection or get something that was missing from your collection. So there's a lot of fun there with numismatics or semi-numismatics. Some of the cons, though, are, yes, you can make more money on them, but there's a much smaller market. There's a much smaller pool of buyers who are looking for those numismatics and semi-numismatics coins. You can't just take them to your local coin shop. They're not going to give you a fair price for them. They're going to give you a spot or a little bit more. They're also difficult and or slower to sell. You have to be willing to use eBay or something like that in order to find a buyer who wants what you're selling. That takes time. That takes energy. Those are other commodities besides the metal itself. The next thing on there's the premiums. To buy a numismatic or semi-numismatic coin, when you first buy it, there's a lot of a premium you'll pay. You'll pay a lot significant price over spot for the coins. So it's kind of variable what you can buy and sell the coins for. So I left that as question marks here. It depends on if you know what you're doing, buying and selling or flipping numismatics and semi-numismatics. To me, that's kind of one of the drawbacks of it, is it's more unknown. You don't always know what you're going to get for a coin when you go to sell it, or even what you're going to pay for it when you go to buy it. The next form of silver I want to look at is junk silver. Junk silver, or constitutional silver, has a lot of pros and cons as well. The pros are it's very recognizable. Everybody recognizes U.S. currency. Most people know that before 1965, U.S. coins were 90% silver, so it's very recognizable to the average person. Junk silver can be a lot of fun. I feel like I'm in the Wild West every time I buy junk silver or silver dollars. To have a coin that's from the 1800s or early 1900s or even 1950 is exciting to me. So it's a lot of fun, I think, to collect the junk silver. It's also very liquid. It's easy to take your junk silver into your local coin shop and sell it. So you can, if you decide you want to sell, it's easy to take it to a local coin shop and sell it. Some cons of the junk silver: there is a premium with the junk silver. At my local coin shop, they usually charge 14 or 15 times face, which, as you see below, works out to about $3 per ounce over spot. When you go to sell it, typically they only buy it back for spot, so you're losing about $3 there on that investment. Regardless of the price of silver, you're losing about $3 on the premium when you buy versus when you sell. Other cons: the purity. If there ever were an event that would greatly raise the price of silver, where silver were needed for its manufacturing, then they're not going to want. It's much more difficult to take a 90% coin and separate out the silver from the other metals. It can be done, but it's one extra step, one extra expense. So because they're 90% instead of 99.9%, that's definitely a drawback. Also, it's a little more complex. You have to know a little bit more when you get into, there's coins that are only 40% silver or 35% silver, and knowing which years. And then when you get into, foreign coins that are junk silver, there's just a lot more to know when it comes to junk versus, just buying generic or government bullion or what have you. The next category I want to look at is American Eagles or other government bullion. The pros here, it's very recognizable. Most people recognize an American Eagle or a Silver Maple Leaf or a Philharmonic. The purity is another pro. They're 99.9% silver, so you don't have to worry about trying to separate the silver out from the other metals. They're very simple. It'd be simple to just, fill tubes of Eagles and build a monster box of 500 ounces or whatever you want. To just go every month and buy Eagles from your local coin shop. It's very simple. Liquidity. When you go to sell them, you'll always find coin shops that want to buy Eagles. So they're easy to resell when the time comes to sell. Some cons of Eagles or government bullion. The biggest one I think is the premium. At my local coin shop, they charge $4 over spot for an Eagle. And when you go to sell it, some people say, well, you get that premium back. Well, if I sell at my local coin shop, he pays $1 over spot for an Eagle. So you're still losing that same $3-ish per ounce that you would have lost with the junk silver. It's also, as far as the cons go, to me it's pretty boring. Just to collect Eagles or government bullion, there's not a lot of mystery there. There's not a lot of intrigue there. There's not a lot of variety there. So to me, government bullion is probably the most boring of the ways to stack silver. Last but not least, I think what my favorite way is, what I would say is the best way to stack silver, is generic rounds and bars. Lots of pros here. It's cheap. It's simple. There's a lot of variety. I've got lots of cool rounds that are fun rounds or bars that have a lot of variety to them. It's fun. Finding bars and rounds that are unique and that you've never seen before can be a fun experience. They're liquid. You can always take generic silver to a coin shop. It's probably the easiest to resell. They always will buy it. They know the purity. They know exactly how many ounces there are because they're in 1 ounce or 2 ounce or 10 ounce, whatever varieties. And the last one there is you'll have a bigger stack. Because it's cheaper. If you put your money every month into generic bullion, you're going to acquire more silver than if you're buying things that have big premiums. The biggest con, I guess, is that it's less recognizable. The person on the street, if you can use it for bartering or whatever, is not going to be able to recognize a lot of generic bullion. But most of it's marked, 99.9% pure silver. So I don't think that's a huge issue, but it is less recognizable compared to an Eagle or constitutional silver. As far as the numbers go, at my local coin shop, depending on what it is, he charges $1 to $1.50 per ounce over spot. And when you go to sell that, he pays you spot for it. So you're only losing there $1 or $1.50 per ounce versus the $3 you would have lost on the government bullion, the $3 you would have lost on the junk silver, or kind of the unknown with the numismatics or semi-numismatics. So to me, in my opinion, if you're going to just stack one thing, I would go with generic rounds and bars. And again, I think variety is good. With my stack, I've got a lot of variety, but the majority of it is generic rounds and bars. I do have quite a bit of junk. I've got about $250 worth face of junk. I've got a fair amount of semi-numismatics. I've got a fair amount of Eagles, and other government bullion, but the majority is generic rounds and bars. And in my opinion, for the reasons listed here, that's what I think is the best way to go. So anyway, you may disagree. If you do, feel free to leave me comments below, but I appreciate you guys watching. Take care. God bless.